99.9% sure my wife of 14 years is cheating on me. Maybe by the end of the story, it'll be 100%. Let's see. This story first came August 5th, 2019. I, 35 male, think that my wife, 33 female, is cheating on me and has been for many years. We've been together for 14 years. We've been married for almost 10 years and we have a 5-year-old daughter together. Incident number 1. When my wife and I were in college, where we first started dating, we had an incident where she had some really sexually graphic texts from a guy we both knew from school. She even had classes with him. I confronted her about the texts. I definitely didn't handle it well, and I basically accused her of straight out of the gate as cheating on me without realizing there were some possible outs for her. I mean, a lot of people would consider that cheating, emotionally cheating in the least, but one of those outs was that she claimed they were just some pervy texts that she got from this guy out of the blue, and that if I had paid any attention when I was snooping through her phone, that she hadn't actually responded to them. Okay. At the time, I conceded that I may have overlooked that possibility and I had overreacted. She apologized to me for not mentioning to me that some guy was hitting on her like that, and I apologized for overreacting and for snooping. We moved on from there. Fair enough, that could be a possibility, but also she could have just deleted her responses so that the text chat looks like she didn't respond because she just deleted her responses. But moving on to incident number 2. Fast forward to this last year. My daughter, wife, and I are at a gas station. I can tell my wife is kind of distant and detached from the interactions my daughter and I are having. I notice she's glued to her phone as well. The gas fill for our car is on the passenger side, and I have the rear passenger door open so I can tickle my daughter while I wait for the car to fill up. I'm really suspicious of what my wife is doing at this point, so I decide that I'm going to take a look over my wife's shoulder from the back seat at what it is she is so caught up in. Turns out she's actively / in the moment sexting some guy. Like words, descriptions, acts that very much seem like they have been doing this for a while. The texting. And looking back with 2020 hindsight, I'm fairly certain they had been screwing as well. Also, all the stuff she was texting was super graphic stuff. Stuff that she never used with me, either in dirty talk or when we got intimate. And I know this next admission is pathetic and that it shouldn't matter more than anything else, but the fact that she wanted to share in these acts with this man instead of me really hurt. I don't think that's a pathetic thing to say at all. That makes perfect sense. So fast forward 10 minutes when we get home and I have to suffer through smiling during dinner and the whole nighttime ritual of getting our daughter to bed so as to not cause a scene by blowing up at my wife for what I had seen her texting. Honestly, that was probably a blessing because it allowed me to collect my thoughts before confronting her. I end up telling my wife what I saw at the gas station, and right off the bat, she tries to play dumb. What are you talking about? Honey, you're making no sense. I told her to not play dumb with me, and I recited some of the texts that I could remember back to her to prove what I saw is what I saw. She then goes on to admit that it was a mistake, that it was 100% nothing physical, and that she really was sorry. She admitted that the guy was a work colleague. We talked a lot that night about why she felt like she needed to be doing that, and a lot of it boiled down to her feeling depressed and lonely. We talked about strategies that we could invoke at home, things that we both could change to help mend the rift. I guess things felt kind of okay after that. But it felt like the damage to our trust was already done, and I don't think I've ever really recovered. Even that seemingly small moment of infidelity, assuming that it was only texts, was just a hammer to my heart. Ever since that incident from last year, I've been waking up every day as a lesser version of myself. This exact situation quite literally happened to me in one of my last relationships. Oh yeah. It was in the first year of us dating, and I caught him sexting one of his work colleagues, and I stayed for like another 3 years at that. It's the same ex that ended up cheating on me in the end.
What a surprise.
Don't we love that? I feel like it's pretty common when it's not physical that you almost convince yourself, oh, it's not actually cheating or it's more forgivable. Let me just tell you, it does as much damage mentally to the other person. It really does. Interacting with my daughter is about the only thing that gets me back close to the baseline of how I remember my former self. But beyond those precious moments, I'm just a walking, grayed out zombie that puts on a good face for pretty much everything for my day-to-day, like going to work, interacting with my wife, etc. Now, the most recent incident, number 3. Fast forward to yesterday. My wife has gone on a week-long work trip to the East Coast. We are in the West Coast. I actually had zero suspicions or justifiable reasons to be worried for this trip because things had been going pretty well between us and she hadn't really given off any indicators or suspicious behavior. You had no... She was sexting a work colleague and now she's going on a work trip. What do you mean you had no suspicions? I would be concerned. But my first clue was that when she arrived at her destination, she couldn't get the Wi-Fi working for a FaceTime. And this stayed true for the entirety of her trip. First of all, FaceTime works on cellular data just fine, which we have a ridiculous amount of. I explained that to her without much of a response. Second, I know that if I were gone for a week from my family, it would be my biggest priority to get my FaceTime up and running so that I could see my family's faces every time I called to visit, which would be every single night, which brings me to this next point. She called us in the evening to say goodnight, maybe 2 times out of the 7 days that she was gone. Based on previous trips she's had, this was really strange. Normally, she is like clockwork, touching in with us to share her day and to hear from us about our day. And again, always on FaceTime. I asked her about that and she claimed that she was just too tired in the evenings to get back to us. Also, in the past, if she was away from me or home, she would always text me goodnight and that she loved me, even if we previously chatted moments earlier on FaceTime or via phone call. For this recent trip, she never texted me once. So when she got back, my radar was on high alert. Now I don't feel good about this next part, but when she went to sleep that night, I checked her travel bag to see if my suspicions were correct. Sure enough, to my surprise, she keeps this little red book as a diary in her work bag. I open it up and there's a date marked 2/9/15. Turns out she had started writing a poem on that day about our daughter who had just been born the previous fall. Okay, that's really sweet, I say to myself, and I start to feel bad about my snooping. Flip to the next page, and there's a new entry. There's no date, but it's written sequentially right after the aforementioned poem, so I know that what I describe here was an entry that came after my daughter was born. This non-dated entry starts off with her describing how much she longs for this specific person, but doesn't give a name. She goes on to talk about how she can't stop thinking about him. Every man she sees reminds her of him. She talks about how she never really intended for things to go very far, but, quote, that one night that started in the bar and ended up going upstairs just felt too right to not be something meaningful. She goes on to say that she doesn't feel bad about making that decision in regard to how it impacts her other life. She describes how she thinks maybe her other life was the mistake. This goes on for pages. That entry ends with her making peace with herself that he moved on from her and that it was time for her to forget about him. I am assuming that her other life is our daughter and me. There was only one more entry after that previous one. I took pictures of it and I have it typed out here in its entirety. Oh, like you wrote it. We have it here. Oh my God, this is it. This is it. Oh, ooh, it's gonna be juicy. All right, this is her written words in this diary about the mysterious lover man. I'm laughing to myself because I haven't opened this book in over 2 years, and here I am sitting in his bed, in his room of his home, still feeling angst over so many of the same things. I'll go home after having a week with him and I'll be asking the same questions. Is he ever going to call again after? Was it stupid to go on this trip? So funny how I thought we'd never speak again, and look where I am. We worked together, we talked almost every day, and he was there for me as a friend. Now, here I am, and back with questions. Why were we so hot and cold those first couple of days and then just tapered off? Maybe he's doing that moral compass wrestling, and after I leave, we'll never speak again. This trip was probably a bad idea, but we had a lot of fun. And he did say that he had been looking forward to it. He missed me. He wanted this. I know that. I wish he would just tell me that he wants me, just me, and always has. It's like we dance around those things because he still wants us to have this thing happening despite the rest of my life, and I just want to talk about that to the point that I'm lying, and I hate lying to him. But meanwhile, every tender moment I have with him is so precious I can't believe it. I couldn't imagine we'd actually be snuggling on the couch, and there we were. End of entry. I feel like that's probably just a snippet of it since he said it went on for pages. I haven't slept since reading the last full entry. I haven't confronted her yet either. It's been almost 48 hours now without sleep, and I'm just an emotional wreck. I just don't know how to handle the situation. I guess I've gotten so good at wearing this zombie mask ever since incident number 2 happened that I've been able to limp through the last couple of days, but it's getting really hard to be around her. I hopped online and read some guides on how to deal with infidelity, and most of the guides mentioned therapy. So I'm going to look into that tomorrow. Just filing for divorce isn't so simple. My wife has a serious seizure disorder that is uncontrolled. She can't tell when they're happening, so that puts herself and possibly others, small kids especially, our daughter to be exact, in danger. I mention this as it pertains to custody. Imagine she's making dinner for her and my daughter one evening, and she has a seizure near the stovetop and the house catches on fire. Well, the only adult in the house is lying on the floor unconscious. Or what if my daughter has a medical emergency, but then my wife has a seizure due to the stress of the situation? These are very real possibilities and ones that I fear could happen if she got custody in any way. Some of those examples aren't too far off from other real life incidences we've had over the years due to her seizure disorder. She obviously can't drive. Would this factor into a custody dispute? I mean, our daughter is starting kindergarten in a month. How could my wife transport her? I don't know what I'm looking for with this whole rambling post. Maybe just reassurance that her gaslighting isn't working, that what I've described isn't the workings of an overly paranoid mind. I feel like one minute I'm ready to file for divorce, and then the next I want to try to salvage things for the sake of our daughter, and just to avoid the awful mess that will be made of all 3 lives if we end up separating. Here's some other logistical details that seem important to add. Number 1, we own a house together, have a mortgage. We have significant investments that we have joint control over that were given to us by her dad. They total somewhere in the range of blank in stocks and bonds. Apparently there was a number, but it has since been deleted from the post. I'm on wonderful terms with her parents and her family in general. I've always been that son-in-law that was there for everyone to lend help, no matter how small or large. All of her immediate family is right here where we live. I have 0 family support from my side where we live. My nearest friend is 1.5 hours away. Then he added an edit and mini update later to the same post. I left work today in order to start lining some things up. I have a lawyer lined up for this Friday. That is the earliest I could find in my area. It's just a consultation, so I'm not sure what to expect from that one meeting alone. Thanks everyone for all your pearls and especially your daggers. I definitely needed some other perspectives. I know it seems unbelievable that I could go this long, but I've seriously been gaslit for years now. Just conditioned to it. It's also a character flaw of mine to want to see the best in people. I just hope she admits to it. Is there any way she can twist this around on me? like invasion of privacy. We are a WA state, so I can't record myself confronting her without her consent. Of course she's gonna say the privacy thing. That's the first thing my cheating ex did when I went through his phone and found what I knew I was gonna find. The whole argument was like not on the fact what he did. It was, you looked through my phone. That's such an invasion of privacy. You know what's invasion of privacy? Hooking up with another girl while you're in a relationship. But sure, probably not. By definition, not quite. But you guys know what I mean. All right, so let's check out some relevant comments that OP was putting in the comment section. So someone commented, are you planning to do a paternity test for your daughter as well as an STD check? Oh, didn't think about that. What if his daughter is not his daughter? Oh God, what a plot twist that would be. OP responded, of all the things I'm stressed and freaking out about, that actually isn't one of them. My daughter could not be a more perfect spitting image of me. It's kind of crazy, actually. Even if she wasn't mine, I would fight tooth and nail for her because she is still my kid, blood or not. And yeah, I am going to go get an STD test. Someone else said, do you actually have proof of infidelity? OP wrote, how much proof is this though? This is one thing that is gnawing at me. The first incident happened 13 years ago. The second incident is just a he said, she said. And the latest incident, she can just make up any excuse she wants, like, that's not my handwriting, or, oh, I was just writing a short story or novel, etc. I did take pictures of the writings and book. I was gonna say that. She might just say she's writing, like a fantasy, like she's just writing in general. Thoughts, fantasy fiction, like anything. You could make up any excuse for that so easily. Next, someone mentioned that her seizures are a non-issue to the situation. And OP said, I don't think some people are realizing how my psyche has been shaped over all the years. She had this horrible disability her whole life, and it's played a major role in our relationship for both better and worse. It's hard for me to just gun down that provider part of me that's been my life for these last many years. That's understandable. That makes you a very good person, to be honest. Now we have some updates, but before we find out all the nitty-gritty details, let's take a sip of water. We're hopping on hydration station. Rude. Grab your beverage of choice. I got a little cup of water with a cute little straw. Look at the little bow. Oh. Cheers. I swear, the cuter the cup, the more water I drink. I don't make the rules. Well, I got invited to this big NYX Halloween event, and the theme is Bridgerton. If you haven't seen the show, you might not know what that is, but quick Google will help you. So I didn't have a costume for it because I don't have clothes that would fit that theme. So I ordered a dress. Look how cute it is. So it's very puffy sleeves. Corsets is also very in with the theme. So I bought this dress. And then I have these socks that go with it, but they're encouraging like those masks, you know, like a masquerade. So I ordered one of those as well. It's very glittery. I threw it in this random bag because like the glitter goes everywhere. Look how cute. Dun, dun, dun. So I'm gonna wear that with the pink dress. It's coming up on the 21st, so I will post like pictures and stuff. So make sure you're on Instagram or Facebook or something if you want to see. So the next update came 4 days later. I met with my lawyer this morning and she was great. She gave me a lot of confidence that I felt was draining away from me throughout the week as I waited to confront. I also had a good friend that was my rock throughout the week, and I will never be able to thank him enough. I ended up confronting my wife after the meeting with my lawyer. I refused to give up any of my evidence. I just said, I know about the other guy. I need you to talk about it. I just kept repeating that line while she went through crocodile tears and confusion about what I was talking about. It was so effing hard not giving up any of that information, but I knew that I had all the power in the situation. In the end, she never confessed. I basically moved the conversation from there by saying, Well, it doesn't matter if you admit it, what I already know or not, because the sexting that you did last year was enough to destroy any trust I had in you, and I can no longer live like this. From there, she kind of shut down and she became pretty docile and never brought back up the outrageous thing that I was falsely accusing her of. That's in quotation, so she in fact said that. We pretty quickly moved into business-like details about what to do in the short term. Her dad came over and picked her up and gave me a hug and said, "Let us know if you need anything." I teared up right at that moment. I'm not letting my guard down yet because anything can happen, but I think things may work out for the better for everyone involved. Let's check out some of the most relevant comments on this update for some more information. Someone asked, do your families know the truth about what's going on? He said they don't know. For the sake of being reasonable and just wanting this to be over, I told my wife I am on board with just telling our family we don't love each other. We think that we'll make better parents and lives for ourselves by not being together. We haven't really talked yet about what we are going to tell our daughter. I will not be accepting her back if she does admit. There is nothing salvageable here. Someone asked what actually happened during the confrontation. He wrote, during the confrontation, she actually tried to pull, "What are you doing? Spying on me? Having someone follow me?" I expected it, so I just stared at her as she went into that mode. Next comment, is it possible that the wife's seizures contributed to her infidelity? OP responded, yeah, I do realize that, and I thought of that as a possible explanation for her doing what she did, but in the end, I can't really know for a fact that that's what happened, and thus I am just moving on from it because for my own sanity, I can't be around that anymore. The infidelity, not the seizures. It's a pretty high priority for me. My hope/ideal scenario here, crossing my fingers, is that she's just miserable with me for whatever reason. And now that I've done the thing that she's lacked the courage to do, end the marriage, she can find peace and happiness of her own. That way she can be the best version of herself for our daughter. To me, that is the win-win I want to see out of this crap storm. What a mature and respectful way to feel and to think. Can't say I handled myself that way in my situation. Someone also asked what the cheating duration is based on the evidence, and OP wrote, my wife was most likely cheating for 2+ years. We do have a final update. I'm very curious if she actually ever admitted to it or if they divorced based on just what he did find. So this came 4 months later. We're at December 8th, 2019. Things are actually pretty good right now. We obviously separated after I confronted her. She still hasn't admitted to anything. We sold the house and now I've got an apartment with my daughter. More about custody later. I'm actually having a blast making the space my own, and it's nice having my own time to myself again. I do have to say that I thought the loneliness would fade a bit faster, but the feelings of desperation and not knowing what to do with myself are still pretty sharp. I've started working out a lot, and I've also gotten back into writing and recording music again, which I haven't done in years. As far as my ex goes, I decided to keep things as amicable as I could for my daughter's sake, and I think it's the single best decision I've made throughout all of this BS. By allowing myself to feel all the emotions I needed to feel before confronting her, I was able to keep rational and calm throughout all of this, and it really made all of the difference. I can't imagine how awful things would have been on an emotional, legal, and custodial level had I just blown everything up when I confronted her. I confided in a few close friends about the truth of the situation, just because I needed someone to talk to about all the BS to make sure I was acting accordingly. But beyond that, no other family members know the situation. To everyone else, we just separated for amicable reasons. Her mom in particular is taking things pretty hard. I feel bad for her. She's struggling to understand what happened. But that is on my ex to tell her, not me. For custody, while we wait for the divorce to finalize, is that I get my daughter Monday to Friday, since I am the only one that can drive her to school. My ex gets her Saturday to Sunday from 9 to 5 p.m. My ex's seizures are predominantly in the evening, and it's just not safe for our daughter to be there with her on her own, at least not until she's older. We're gonna work that out and get those details in writing at some point here. Anyway, I'm feeling about 60% good and about 40% freaked out now that I'm on my own. At 36, I had no idea how to approach the dating scene, and my confidence is a bit shot to hell right now. I mean, for F's sake, I haven't even given serious consideration to another woman in over 14 years. So I'm probably just gonna wait for like 3 to 4 months while I get to know myself again, get in better shape, and then see how I feel after that. We have a bonus update here, a little snippet of a bonus that came 2 years later. Okay, I'm intrigued. All right, so I guess OP made a brand new post on Reddit, and this is what it said. I, 37 male, am looking for some advice and tips on introducing my partner, 36 female, to my daughter, 7. All 3 of us are active people, and I want to pick a neutral space for them to meet. I was thinking a visit to the zoo might be fun, just looking to feel out if there are some common mistakes or pitfalls that I could avoid here. Thank you. So they never got back together. He has a new partner. It's serious enough to introduce to his daughter. That's pretty crazy. I am dying to know what you guys think. Are you divorcing your partner based off what you found? The inappropriate text messages, the diary entry, what happened in college, is that enough to break your trust? Or do you think that you would stay because there wasn't enough evidence? Maybe you can't prove it was physical. Very curious on this. Let me know your thoughts. I'll see you in the comment section. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy, and you know what we say about cheaters. Let's say it together now. If you can't stay loyal,